Welcome to the Million Dollar Speaker Podcast. Hi, I'm Arvee Robinson. I'm the Master Speaker Trainer, International Speaker, and author of Speak Up, Get Clients. And I have a very special guest with me today. That is Michelle Abraham. Let me introduce her. I'm so excited that she's on the show today because Michelle is the founder of AmplifyYOU. AmplifyYOU, where they specialize in done-for-you services for entrepreneurs with a big vision and a big message who really want to make a big impact. At AmplifyYOU, they make, market, manage, and monetize podcasts. Michelle and her team have launched and managed over 137 podcasts in the last 18 months and manage over 55 shows weekly. Michelle is also the co-founder of the Canadian podcast network, mypodcastcoach.com, and the creator of the Profitable Podcaster Formula. And I'm all about formulas. Something unique about Michelle is that she doesn't just speak about a freedom lifestyle, she actually lives it. She lives off the grid and she lives on a lake in a house, and she has to take a boat back and forth. She also drives her kids to school, to the school bus by boat while running 100% online business. And she has been mentoring and sharing her passion for podcasters since 2012. So welcome, Michelle.
Thank you, Arvee. Thanks so much for having me here.
I am so happy you're here because, again, podcasting is a way that we can reach a lot more people in less time. So why don't you share a little bit about just the magnitude of how we can share our message to more people through podcasting?
Absolutely. Great kickoff question. You know, the power of podcasting right now is incredible. There's a few things that I want to share with you that will really kind of set the picture. Right now in your business, time and attention is our most valuable asset. So in podcasting, the platform itself, people are listening on average for 20 minutes at a time. That's huge. So if you look at comparison to other platforms like YouTube, it's about 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Facebook's 18 seconds. Instagram, it's even less than that. It's about 7 seconds. So, and when we look at all of those platforms, podcasting, you have people's time and attention, and you're in, and they're listening to you through a very intimate place in their earbuds, in their ear. And the best thing about podcasting for me, I think I really like to share this fact, is that people, for podcasting listeners, they take you on the go with them. So you're not interrupting them. You're not getting them to stop and listen to you. They're going to take you with them when they're walking the dog, cooking dinner, out in the car. And that, to me, when I figured that out, I knew there was no stopping podcasting, because it's something that people can take with them and still continue on their life, and you have their attention for so long. So that's why I love podcasting, Arvee.
I like that, because any other medium, it's like you are interrupting their daily life. If it's even YouTube, you have to stop and either look at your phone or look at, look at the screen. I often use my phone and look at YouTube when I'm on my treadmill. But it's challenging. But I love what you said about the podcast. We're not interrupting. We can go anywhere with anybody while they're driving or working out or whatever. And there is something unique about having us in their ear, right? And very close to the brain in their ear. So that is, a good point. And I didn't realize that people listen to podcasting more than anything else. So what is that, 15 minutes you said? What is
20 minutes, yeah. On average, the podcast listener, so what we're finding out is that they're loyal, they're affluent, they have above average income, and they listen to more than 7 shows a week. And when they listen to about 20 minutes of time. So even if you have a show, on a sports show that you love, and that person listens to other sports shows, they listen to 7 different shows. So it could be around the same topic, could be on different topics, but that's very powerful. They're listening to you and they're getting to know you, like you, trust you. And so from a business standpoint, when they're ready to then, the whole idea of a podcast host is to make your listener feel something, make them, engage them in stories, be relatable, and then move them into the next conversation with you. So if they feel like they're in the inside, like, especially because it's in your earbuds, when you feel like you're like an insider in a conversation, or you're overhearing conversation between friends at a coffee table or something, that's what you want your listeners to feel like.
They're like a fly on a wall, sneaking, listening. I love that. So, Michelle, I mean, obviously you are passionate about podcasting, but how did you get into it and how did you create Amplify You?
Yeah, it's interesting. I had a business before I had kids, and I was in the fitness industry. I loved it. It was great. But when I had my son, I always wanted to be a mom, and I couldn't wait to be a mom. And I finally became a mom. But my poor business brain it was suffering. It was suffering. It was like it went to mush, I think. And so I actually sometimes think back and think, wow, I think podcasting actually maybe pulled me out of some postpartum depression. So I figured out I could turn on the Apple TV and listen to a podcast episode about marketing or business while I was playing with my son. So I could still be a great mom, or I could put my earbuds on, take him for a walk when he was napping. So I was able to fit it into my schedule. And really, when I started to see I could do it in the car, I could do it wherever we're going, I was like, wow, the power of podcasting is so great. But if we rewind about 20 years, 21 years this year, actually, I was backpacking around Europe after high school, and two of my girlfriends came to meet me, and we were set to travel for a few months. And one of them, unfortunately, was killed by a train. And so my life kind of took a different trajectory at that moment. So her life ended that day. And it was interesting because she had just blossomed. She became this amazing woman and couldn't wait to come back and, share this new friend, like just became her own on that trip. But her life ended and she didn't get to share that message that she had for the world. And so the bottom line story behind why I do what I do and why Amplify You is because I don't want your story to not get told to the world. And I think everyone has something that's so powerful, impactful, and can make a really big difference in the world. And I love the vehicle of podcasting or speaking in general to get that vehicle and get that message out there in the world. And my friend didn't have the chance to, but I really want to inspire people who still have the opportunity to get their message out there.
Absolutely. And you're singing my song, Michelle, because that's what I always share with people, that everybody has their own unique message that they need to get out to the world, and only they can deliver it. Nobody else can deliver it. And time is running out, and you never know. And I'm so sorry to hear about your friend, but you never know. That's how precious life is. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know when God's going to call on us. So it's important to get that message out now. Today, we can only count on today. And with everything happening in the world, I mean, we really don't even know where it's going. So get it out there. So I encourage all of you that are listening. This is a wake-up call. This is hello, and now Michelle's right here. She can help you to get that podcast out. She can help you to monetize it. She can help you to market it and all those things that you might be afraid to do. And remember, everything's outside of your comfort zone, or you would already have it, right? So if you think you can do this podcast thing by yourself, think again, or you already would. You already would. So you want to hire a professional like Michelle and let her help you to get your message out to the world and make that big impact, because the world is waiting for your words. All right. So let's talk about being that $1 million speaker and that $1 million podcaster, because there's a lot of different podcasts out there, ladies and gentlemen, and some are good and some might not be so good, but we want you to have a good one that people want to listen to. So Michelle, tell us what the secret is to be a $1 million speaker podcaster.
I love it. Yes, there are some secrets for sure. One of them is with one of my favorite things that we say in our business. If you're not embarrassed by your first few episodes, you waited too damn long to get them out. So just get going. Like you said, Arvee, your message is important. It needs to get out there. Just let it loose and we'll figure it out as you go along. You'll get into the groove of it, right? So just get it out there is the first secret. Second secret is and really entrepreneurs. And this is kind of a unique space in the podcasting world where we want to see you have a return on your investment. So instead of figuring out, going out there and trying to get sponsors and try to get ads and all this kind of stuff that people are all consumed with in the podcasting space, just be yourself, be you, and you're going to attract the right clients back into your business. You're going to have, as long as you have a way for them to then work with you further. So that's the second secret, is make sure you have a way that they can work with you, and then you'll see that return on your investment. And number three is, like, we think that we need so much equipment and so many things. And my mentor said he had dial-up phone connected to this thing, hooked up to the wall, and all these crazy things. You really need a microphone and a computer to get started. So those are my three secrets to making a successful podcast, is just get going, get some minimal equipment, and make sure you have a way to get a return on your investment.
Excellent. And that's key, I think, too, is return on the investment. And you might not get it right away, obviously. You know,
it's a long-term game,
right? Podcasting is something that you start building momentum. Now, I read recently where new podcasters, they will make 10 podcasts and then they stop, right? Mm-hmm. So Michelle, can you speak to that? I mean, why do they just make about 10 and then lose interest? And how do they get their interest back? Is it them? Is it the audience? What, you know? How come?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. And I've never been asked that on a podcast interview. So I love that you asked that. One of the things that we call that is pod fade. And so if we take it right back to the beginning, that means that person did not really get the message that they wanted to get out there in the world. Because once you hit that message and you got that messaging right, you're unstoppable. You're going to never run out of content. You're never going to run out of ideas. So one, get some help right at the beginning to help get that coach that out of you. Then also get some support, because that's the second reason people stop, is that it gets to be too much work for them. It's not worth their time. It's only 10 episodes in, but they're not seeing a return on their investment yet. And you got to think of the long-term strategy. It takes a while to build up that momentum, and those listeners got to take some time to get to know you, like you, and trust you. So it takes a little bit of time there. So a couple of things to keep you from doing that pod fade. One, really work on your messaging. Once you hit it, I see you peel back the onion far enough, then you cannot stop talking about the subject. And number two, maybe get some people to interview. So using your podcast as like a tool in my business is how I use it. If I want to reach out and have a conversation with someone further that I don't know, I invite them on my podcast just so I can open the door to have a conversation with them. Plus, they love it because they're getting to be showcased on a show. So using your podcast as a tool, that will also allow you to keep growing it. I can't tell you how many of our clients have just made so many new clients from actually just interviewing people on their show. It turns into a conversation, and then leads to working with them. So those are a couple of things that will really help prevent the pod fade.
You made a good point there. You mentioned interviews. So which is a better podcast? To have interviews, to just have content and speak, or to mix it up? What is the best one? What is the best seller? What is the best listen to?
I love that question, because it really depends on your purpose at the end of it. But for our clients who want to be seen in positioning, so it helps them be positioned as an expert, you want to have a mix of both, because at the end of the day, even if you're doing all interviews, your audience is coming to hear you. So you'll be surprised, but your solo shows are going to be really popular if compared to even if you're interviewing big name people or people that are, like the Tony Robbins. Your interviews are going to have more pull with your audience because they're there for you. They want to listen to you. So I always say a combination of both. So having your own show allows you to be the expert. It's better for positioning, but interviewing allows you to grow your audience and expand your network as well. So I say a combination of both is most valuable, but your podcast listeners are going to be here to want to hear you. So if you can intertwine some of your stories in your interviews, that's also great.
Right. That's a good point, because I had another podcast before $1 Million, and it was just interviews, and it was so challenging sometimes to get some of those interviews and get it all squared away and all that. So I decided I was going to make a new one, and I was just going to, be me and just give content. and here I am interviewing again, because the interviews are good when you bring people like you on, Michelle, and people that can add that value, and it's a lot more fun. And oftentimes it's discipline that somebody will go ahead and do it. So give us some. We have time for just a few more tips and tricks, but give us some tips on how somebody can really make sure that they get their podcast done. I know you have some, you shared them with me, but how can we best manage our time or the interview process or whatever? How can we get our podcast done each month?
Yeah, I would schedule 1 day a month to kind of do your recording. So say you're going to have 4 episodes a month. I would sit down and say, okay, 2 are going to be interviews, 2 are going to be solo shows. And I would do either of those all in 1 day or over 2 days. So do your interviews back to back because you're in the role of it, you're in the groove, and this is a great time to keep recording. So that will also save you a little bit of time. And then on the days that you have your solo shows, you can get into the groove as well and do 2 or 3 shows right away. So doing that once a month, then you don't have to think about it the rest of the month. Then you can go on to other people's shows and be a guest, but your shows are taken care of. And it's always great to be ahead a month or 2 in your recordings, so you're not panicking last minute or you can't ever take a holiday then. And what you want to do is be consistent, and you want to show up every week for your audience. So you're building momentum. And we saw this in a client where all of a sudden she took 3 weeks off at Christmas and her, she lost her entire audience. So it takes a lot of time to rebuild back up. So keep the momentum going, keep it up, and just pre-plan. And if you can use your podcast as all the content for the rest of your social media for the month, you're also doing your social media at the same time as your podcast.
Ooh, that's great. All right, that's good news. One of the things I like to do is create monthly themes. And sometimes it's hard if you're doing a combination, but plan ahead of time what you're going to talk about. Your knowledge. And if you can kind of bundle it into a theme or a 4-part series, which tags people, nags at them or whatever, that they got to come back, that might be something to get them to come back. What do you think of that idea, Michelle?
I love that idea. Yeah, it's a really great idea. Sometimes it might be hard to find the interview guests to fit into that theme, but keep a theme for your own content. I think that's brilliant. Such a great idea, and it keeps you focused. And if you want to start with something, if you're not sure where to start on those kind of things, look at what your most frequently asked questions are in your business. Those are great things to then do podcast episodes on. You can always send people over to episode number 3. Go check it out. I answered that question there.
I love that idea. I love that. Okay, Michelle, well, our time is ended now for this episode. So what last words or tips or tricks do you have for our listeners?
Just do it. Don't worry about the numbers. Just get out there and do it. Your message matters, and someone is waiting to hear that. It's going to make a huge impact on their life. So get out there and do it.
Amen. Amen. That's what I always say. Your message matters. Excellent. All right, Michelle. So if someone wants to work with you and, so you can really help them to get it out there, because if they would have been able to do it themselves, they would have already done it by now. So how can you help them, and how do they get a hold of you?
Absolutely. So you can head over to mypodcastcoach.com, and over there it tells you a bunch of different ways that you can work with us, whether that is one-on-one service or membership site or formula that we have. And then if you go /gifts in that same domain, I've got 2 free gifts to give away to you if you like. One is about 7 places where you can list yourself to be a guest on other podcasts that podcasters look for guests. And then the first one, the other gift there is how to monetize your podcast. So I know that's a big question. People always ask, how do I make money from my show? So that's a great.
I just want to get it straight. So it's mypodcastcoach.com is the website. But then if you put a /yes, small letters, YES.
Gifts. So /gifts.
Oh, gifts. I'm sorry. I thought I said yes. Okay. Gift. Small letters though, right? GIFTS. There's some powerful gifts there that you need to grab immediately. And I just want to give you a heads up, ladies and gentlemen. I've hired Michelle to help me with my podcast, my $1 Million podcast, because I want to up level it. I've been doing it myself, kind of raw, like the past, few years, and I want to bump it up. I want to level it up. So, so I can endorse her. I can recommend her. And again, if you want to be a $1 Million podcaster, you've got to hire Michelle. So besides this website, do you have an email or a phone number, Michelle, that you can give them?
Yes, you can get a hold of me at Michelle@mypodcastcoach.com.
Okay, and that's Michelle with 2 L's.
Two
Right?
L's. That's right. 2 L's. Yeah.
All right, Michelle, thank you so much for being on this show. I just look forward to working with you and spending more time with you. And I hope everybody that's listening will take your gifts, take advantage of them, and contact you. And we'll have more $1 Million podcasters. So that's our show for today. So goodbye, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye.